As many times as I've come into Hillsboro and passed this sign, I've never really looked at it. Hillsboro, Loudoun County, Virginia. This is the birthplace of Susan Kerner Wright, April 30th, 1831, July 4th, 1889, mother of Wilbur and Orville Wright, inventors of the airplane. A notable woman who largely guided and wisely inspired her sons to their immortal discovery. She was the mother also of Catherine Wright Haskell, August 19th, 1874, March 3rd, 1929, whose sisterly devotion aided in giving mankind access to the unlimited aerial highway. Erected by the Rivanna Garden Club of Charlottesville, Virginia, December 17th, 1929. Well, it's interesting that they mention Wilbur and Orville Wright's mother, because when I was a boy, I read a book about the Wright brothers, and indeed, the mother played a notable part in it. She explained to them about axle friction, and they had tightened something onto an axle, and she explained when they were boys that you have to have it loose with some lubrication in order to spin the thing on the axle. So yes, she did indeed assist the Wright brothers in inventing the airplane. This is Hog Alley. It's called that because of a certain incident that took place in 1859 when Harpers Ferry was attacked by the John Brown Raiders. Hog Alley. Now, earlier this week I watched Gods and Generals, which was filmed here in Harpers Ferry. Harpers Ferry stood in for Fredericksburg and the Battle of Fredericksburg sequences. Anyway, the camera was positioned down that way, where I'm pointing to, facing up this way. Now, by and large, they hid that coffee mill on the pole with this lamppost. But if you stopped the video and you examined the shots carefully, you could still see this very unauthentic non-18 1859 coffee mill sitting up on this pole, where it has been for at least, the 34 years that I've been coming here. Those are the Maryland Heights. I hiked up that a couple of years ago. It took about an hour and 15 minutes to get up there. But once you get up there, you have a really nice view. I'm not hiking that again. I see the Harpers Ferry Wax Museum has finally gone out of business. It was interesting because they used to have this creepy statue of John Brown, crazed look in his eyes. It was illuminated at night, and when you went by it, it looked really interesting, but that business is gone now. Well, interestingly enough, as often as I've come to Harpers Ferry, I've never stopped here. I've never known this. Casualty of war. German immigrant Frederick Roeder was a prosperous baker, the father of 7 children and a recent widower. He was also about to die. The 4th of July was normally a day of celebration, but not this year, not 1861. In March, Roeder buried his wife, Anna Maria. The following month, Civil War erupted. Virginia seceded and Harpers Ferry became a war zone. Businesses collapsed and the local economy crashed. A Union sympathizer, Roeder longed to catch a glimpse of the United States flag flying on the Maryland shore. Venturing out to the Potomac River, he gazed across at the stars and stripes, only to be struck down by a ricocheting bullet fired by a Union soldier. He crawled back to this building, his home, where he died. Roeder was the first townsperson to die during the war. His home, business, and other property were confiscated by the Union Army for use as a military bakery, post office, and headquarters. As many times as I've come to Harpers Ferry in the last 35 years, and that's a lot, I don't think I've ever come to this point, this obelisk. It's the John Brown Monument. Commemorated here is the original location of the John Brown Fort, the Federal Armory's fire engine house, where abolitionist John Brown and his raiders were captured by U.S. Marines on October 18, 1859. Thousands of enslaved people fled to the Union lines at Harpers Ferry during the Civil War. Some of them found shelter in the contraband camp located near here in the shadow of John Brown's fort. Their freedom and safety were always in jeopardy. Any withdrawal of the Union forces left them vulnerable to slave catchers notorious for capturing people of color and selling them into slavery. After the Confederate capture of Harpers Ferry in 1862, Union Colonel William Trimble recalled watching hundreds of men, women, and children, bonded and free, driven past, their bowed heads and sad countenances telling the tale of their disappointed hopes. The young boy, back left, right there, pictured with the Union troops at Harpers Ferry, is one of thousands who sought employment and relative safety with the Union. Never seen this picture. There's the church, and there's another church. Here's another place I've never been in Harpers Ferry, despite the fact that I've been coming here for 35 years. This is where the U.S. Armory buildings were originally located. I'm standing right there. As you can see, there are a bunch of armory buildings here. Now there's just a grassy plot. There's the train station. Whitehall Tavern. Located directly across from the U.S. Armory, the Whitehall Tavern was an 1850s community gathering space where white males debated politics, discussed local events, and protested armory management, wages, and layoffs. The tavern's close proximity easily tempted armory workers to raise a glass, or two, or three, before and during work. As a result, armory officials took a stand at public houses such as the Whitehall Tavern, ruined morals, work ethics, and even threatened armory production. The Hilltop House is in a sad shape now, but according to a website, they're supposed to be building a great big new gorgeous resort here. Why would they want to do that? Well, because the view from the Hilltop House is pretty amazing. Be nice to have a hotel room with a balcony looking out on this. And yet the Hilltop House has been falling apart now for, oh gosh, a decade or more. And it has not yet been replaced. I passed a sign that said, "Let's make it happen 2021. So maybe that's a timeline for when they expect to fix this. Well, fix it. I think they're just going to completely tear it down and build something new. The original Hilltop House, the 1914 rebuild, 1919, the 1920 rebuild, 2018 starting to fall apart, and that's what's proposed for July 4th, 2021. We shall see. Current and proposed. In the Patriot Harley dealership, where I bought a couple of patches for a shirt that looks like a Harley shirt but isn't. I got it for next to nothing. I'm going to turn it into a Harley shirt.
Ride free, brother. Ride free.